Hi, welcome. I am Clay from the Cello Online, and welcome to this live stream. This is our first, my first live stream of the week. You can see the whole calendar. We're going to jump right into it here. So, college students out there, I'm watching the comments here. Make sure you leave me a comment. This is also Q&A, whatever questions. Hopefully my experience from college can help all of you. And we'll have another college university session here later in the week. I just haven't scheduled it yet, so be on the lookout for that. So top two things about practicing that I would share with you that I wish I had appreciated. Probably I knew it then, just like probably you know it now. Of course, knowing something and appreciating something is two different things. So the first thing is focusing in on what you're doing. And this feels so scary at first, okay? Now, having said that, if you are studying music and you are a major, you're majoring in cello, studying at a conservatory, whatever, you've probably gained some significant skill. I mean, you've learned to practice on some level. So what I'm about to tell you is just as important for you, though, maybe even more important for you than someone who is maybe just getting started or has just all of a sudden decided to major in music. But especially if you're already playing well, then you have to make these tiny little improvements. You have to focus on these tiny, tiny little details in your playing. Otherwise, you plateau, I mean, when you're already doing something or doing so many things well, okay, you really have to dig down deep to first find the things that aren't going as well, that maybe you're not as aware of, and then really, really focus on those details to improve your playing. Sorry. But what I would say about that, what I was about to say earlier was this can feel really scary, all right? Because you have, especially if you're like me, I was at the University of Alabama, liberal arts college, and you have English classes and science classes and everything else going on that you have to devote time to. And you're sitting there in the practice room, and we get in this habit of jumping around. I think about this, I think about that. And all that stuff is good to think about. I mean, we have intonation and tone, just thinking about the basics of all these things that we focus on, and phrasing and whatever else, and dynamics. And it's easy to get in this spiral where we're spinning and spinning and spinning, especially in college, where all of a sudden, you're responsible for you, and you have to think about your practicing, and you have to think about getting homework done, and it can make you feel frazzled. But let me give you permission, okay? Let me tell you, to have the courage to practice this way. Try it now. Say you're going to try it for a week. Now's a great time to try this kind of practice, maybe because I'm sure classes probably haven't started for you yet, university schedule there. All right. And what I mean, getting down to nuts and bolts here, is like when you're playing through an etude, pauper etude, or a scale or an excerpt, think about spending, 5 or 10 minutes on just some goal you've set for yourself. Like, I'm going to improve the intonation, or I'm going to improve my tension. I'm pressing with my thumb or something, or there's a big shift that I have somewhere in a piece. I'm going to focus on that. Which brings me to my second point, which is blocking time. I mean, this is just good at any level, but I think especially when you're in college and you're a major and you have, again, juggling all these things. The reason we picked music as our career choice is because it's endless, right? That gets old. It never gets boring. It can always be better. There's always something to improve or play better, that we can make better, make more music, make better music. And so you could spend 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever. You can, that's why it's possible to just go in the practice room and just start playing, and then 3 hours later you come out and like, what did I accomplish? So when you say, I'm going to work on this piece, or I'm going to work on this thing, or I'm going to work on, this excerpt or this etude, or I'm going to work on my intonation, you have to block an amount of time that you're going to spend on it, and then you're going to, make a contract with yourself to move on when you're done. Okay? This is, I think, we get in the fear of, well, if I focus on this, I'm leaving something else behind, right? And so we want to think about everything at once because we're trying to be, good, conscionable, musicians and students. And we don't want to leave anything out. But if you say, well, I'm going to practice this way for 1 hour and I'm going to focus on these things, well, then you know that after that hour, you're going to go do something else. You're going to go do your English homework or your chemistry homework or whatever else it is you need to do, or laundry, right? So by blocking time, you're able to shut out the noise. I've talked about this on many levels on the channel about using a timer. Get out the phone. Your phone has a clock on it. It has a timer on it. Use it, okay? Now, maybe you don't have to use a 3-minute, 5-minute timer in that way, but as you're scheduling your day, which you need to do, block time and say, I'm going to spend this amount of time on this, and that's it, and then I have to go do something else, okay? And those are my 2 big pieces of advice for you college students in a nutshell, okay? Focus on small things and then move on. Intonation, left hand, right hand, tone, whatever. Then do something else. Do it for 5 or 10 minutes, then do something else. And when you're having, having those practice sessions where you're going to focus on these little things within the practice session itself, make sure that you block on your day a chunk of time to practice this way. 1 hour or 2 hours or whatever, however your day looks, so that you can say to yourself, this time is dedicated to this, and it's not dedicated to anything else. And then by doing that, you're giving yourself permission to shut out the distractions. You don't have to think about laundry. You don't have to think about English homework, okay? You don't have to think about anything else for that hour except cello practice, okay? You're giving that to yourself. It's so, so important. Just because, remember, the quality of your practice matters more than the quantity, right? We all know that. We all know that the way you practice is much more important than how much you practice. And this is why. How focused are you? What's your mental state while you're practicing? Focusing on little things, blocking time, will greatly improve, all right, your mental state while you're practicing. Okay? Okay. Questions. Opening it up for questions here in the comments for anybody that's watching, or if you're watching this on the replay, okay, you can leave me a comment. Okay, I'm going to be here, of course, all week here on the channel. There's going to be another college Q&A here later in the week. I'm going to get that scheduled. But ask me a question. I'd love to help you guys. Share my experience, my knowledge of being a college student here with you. So leave that down in the comments. Let me know, and watch. Stay tuned. Anybody can get anything. I've titled all of these live streams, but of course it's open for Q&A at any of these times. So if this time didn't work for you, watch this on the replay, check out the schedule, check out the calendar, come back to one of the other live streams. And if you do want to see that video about the importance of practicing with a timer, I will put it here on the end screen, and you can watch that now. Thanks, guys. See you in the next one.